So for our object-oriented programming course, we have decided to make a game. The game will basically have a frog which will go on a journey. On the journey, he will face different enemies. The enemies will be birds and bees. The birds will drop different types of fruits and rocks which will decrease and increase his health accordingly. And the bees will sting him, and the frog will have to dodge the bees or kill them to stop his health from decreasing. Now as he goes on, these obstacles and enemies will keep on coming, and in the end he will face a hive. The hive will keep generating bees, and he has to finish off the hive to stop the bees from coming. So this is basically our game. The UML that you see on the screen right now is the initial plan of what we're doing in the game. We are a group of 5 people, and we will individually explain the parts that we are doing. The color shows the division of the workload.
Hello. So these are the header files for my project. My task is to make the player sprite, which in our game is a frog. This frog is inheriting from unit, which is the base class. It has got a move function which allows it to move on ground. The frog has to accept fruits, which will be dropped down by the flying birds. The fruits are inheriting from power up, which is this. The power up has got a do damage function which will increase or decrease the health of frog. Here is the rock. The rock is also inheriting from power up. It will decrease frog's health if frog gets hit by it, whereas the fruit is going to increase frog's health. The frog has to reach the end of game where it will encounter a boss. Bees will be coming out of the boss, which will be chasing the frog, and the frog has to defeat these bees as well. Once the frog hits the boss completely, the game will be over.
Okay, here are the header files as promised, and let's start discussing them. We have enemy class, and it has its own set of sprites, constructor, destructor, and move function, which is virtual because which is abstract because all the different enemies will have their different move function. And then we have a render function, which should also be abstract because all the different types of enemies will have their own sprites. Okay, so here's the bird function. It has a constructor, destructor, move function, and there are 2 special functions for it: drop fruits and drop power-ups, and the usual render function. Here's the hive. It has a queue of bees, a function of generate bees, and get destroyed because once the frog will shoot or hit the hive, we will have to show different set of sprites as the hive gets destroyed. Okay, this is the bee class. It has a chase function because it's gonna detect the position of the frog and chase him. It will have a sting function, and it will have the usual render function. This is the eagle function. It has its move function, it has a drop rocks function, and the usual render function.
Hi guys, my name is Shakev, and these are the classes that I would be working on in today's video. Hi, so this is our ground class, and this is basically what you will see on the screen as a background, and it will be moving. So we will create another constructor for it beside the default constructor, and this constructor receives a L texture, which is a pointer, besides a point, which is where you would make this ground. One of the ground's own functions is a move function, which will make the ground move along the screen continuously, and the other function that we need is the render function, which is required for all objects. So the other class that we have here is our tree class, and this class is this is basically what we would display at the end of the game. So the tree would not be shown in the beginning, and once the player reaches the end of the game, this tree would become visible. So that is being controlled by this is visible boolean variable. And as with the ground class, this tree also reads a base default constructor as well as a custom constructor, and this constructor again receives an L texture, which is a pointer along with a point. So the render for the ground will also need a long integer as a reference along with an SDL renderer, and this is basically it for this class. Okay.
These are the header files. We will be using HDL development library for our game. This is L texture class. This is node class. This is point structure. This is my unit class. It have all the variables and functions that will be inherited. This is Q class. This will be used for memory management. File manager class will enable the user to save his or her progress in the game.
Hey there guys, this is the last part of our video, and in this part I'm going to talk about these header files that I made. So first one I'm going to talk about is screen.h. This is my parent class for all the screen that I'm going to make later. I made the constructor, destructor, which are kind of compulsory for all the classes. Then I made set dimension function, which will help me to set the value of height and width of our screen. Then I made the private variables height and width with the type integer. Then I made the first base class splash screen, which inherits from the screen, same constructor, destructor, and the third function is splash screen, which will help me to make or draw my splashing screen. The splashing screen is kind of a screen that will appear for only 5 to 3 seconds, and it will kind of intro of our game. Then I made the menu screen, which also inherits from the public screen. Then I made constructor, destructor again, and the third function I'm gonna use is menu screen, which will help me to draw this menu screen. Then fourth function will be set menu, which will help me to change the state of my options or the variables that I made private, plain, exit, so that the other steps that I'm gonna do in later on will be relying on these boolean values. Then I made game screen, which is our of course which are main screen on which we'll be drawing the frog, health, score, birds, and rocks. So I did the same with constructor destructor. The third function that I made is game screen, which will allow me to make or draw this screen. Then the fourth function I use is again gonna help me to change the boolean value of one and that variable, which is private again for this class. And then I made restart screen. So the restart screen will appear after the game screen if the player dies or win the game. Then the restart screen will appear. And then the same thing I'm gonna make on the start screen by using a function. Then again one other function which will help me to change the boolean value of these two functions, play again, and I'm gonna draw two buttons on this screen. And then I made the other header file, which is character. What character is gonna do is open the image file and then select the part of that image which is part of the screen, which will be same as the character we type in, then store that image into an array. My bad. Okay. Then I made the word file or word header, which inherit from the characters. And as we know that characters made up the as the word is made up of characters, and the character in this case characters are made up of images. So at the end and our word is gonna be a group of images. Then I made the button header, which is inheriting from the word, and with a group of word we will be making a button. That's it for this week, guys. Stay tuned for more video updates. Thanks.